Okay, it looks like we're live. So nice to see all of you here. And the title today is Precious Metals Paper Markets Days Are Numbered as Investors Get Physical. And yeah, I'm not sure if Clive is going to make it. Um, I have sent him the link to the live stream, but yeah. We'll wait and see. Hopefully, he'll be able to make it. Yeah, Rudy is here, as you can see. Loads of you here already. Retalks SSL says, Good evening, Mario from Surbiton. Harry Potter 123, South Wales in the house. Dutch Libertarian is here. There's a lot of you already here anyway. Andy Lee from Italy says, Hi, Mario and Rudy. JF Enterprise. I'm not sure who Maneka is. It's Maneko. Uh, yeah, Maneka doesn't make any sense. But anyway, uh, Hio Silver. Hi, Hio Silver. Beefy Farmer. Sunny St. Lucia. It's not very sunny here in England, unfortunately. Pino Kunchner from Bavaria. Patty Jones from Port St. Lucie, Florida. We have been in the 30s here. Yeah, I know. I have a niece who lives in Vero Beach, and I saw a picture of her car with some ice on the window, which is unusual. Mark Parks from Worthing, Keith Jackson from sunny Florida, Rob Smith from Sunderland, Harry Potter. Yeah, not very nice there. Uh, yeah, well, the other thing, we'll try to get as many of your questions in as possible, and I'll just try to answer them. We'll do that today. I mean, and I will elaborate on the title of the live stream in a minute when you're at the top of the hour. We'll wait for people to come on. Jonathan, Jonathan Aristone or Jonathan Aristone. Greetings from London, Canada. Yeah, there's a London in Canada too. Paul Weens from Cincinnati. CarWeb Co-Live Com from La Jolla. Yeah, I've been to La Jolla many, many, many years ago. My dad took me there to play a golf tournament in the early 80s at Torrey Pines, beautiful part of the world, La Jolla. You don't need a really weatherman in La Jolla because it's always like in the low 70s, sunny, and not much wind. It's a beautiful place. Furtado Leandro from the Azores in Portugal. Nice. I haven't been to the Azores. I have been to Madeira. There's a lot of people in Brazil, especially in the south of Brazil. They went to Brazil like 150 years ago or more from the Azores. Just App Esquire, uh, greetings from the Scottish borders. Someone else from San Diego here. Quite a few of you from California as well, and the UK. How old is Rudy? He turned 3 last December. So yeah, he's 3 years old. 1st of December is his birthday. Jack Pirate Gold. When am I heading to Ethiopia? Well, Friday evening, we're flying out Friday night from Heathrow. We'll get there Saturday morning, and I'll be back Wednesday morning. I will try to upload some videos from there, but I'm also scheduling some interviews to come out while I'm away. So hopefully it won't affect the channel. Oatmeal is tuning in from London. I guess I assume that's London, England. Could be Canada as well. So Cozy Fantuti from Cornwall. I played golf today. I didn't play very well, especially the front nine was really bad. I kind of stabilized on the back nine, but it was very wet. It wasn't raining, but the course was wet. My trousers got really muddy today. Yeah, not great weather for golf, but sometimes you got to get out. Uh, Zodi 007, when will people realize that gold and silver isn't a trade back into the dollar? It's what comes next. I agree, very few people will realize and it won't realize it. Well, the majority of people won't realize it and it will be too late. It will be too late. And most people who don't understand what gold and silver are all about, they'll never get in. There's 1,000 people in the chat. Hit the thumbs up. Yeah, last time we had over 5,000, which was probably a record concurrent. I'm not sure if it was right in the beginning, but we did have it. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if Clive will come on, will be able to come on, but we'll wait and see. Um, Yeah, I see some people saying things about Seahawks. I guess it's the Super Bowl today. I'm not really interested in sports too much. The only sport I follow these days is a bit of golf, but there you go. Info. Yeah, we're gonna start right now. So. Precious metals paper markets days are numbered as investors get physical. And yes, I think that's what's going on. And it's starting from the top. It started back in 2022, I think, and maybe even before, after yeah, especially after 2022, with what happened to the Russian reserves that were basically frozen when the special military operation started in the Ukraine. That's what the Russians call it. The West say it was unprovoked. I don't think it was unprovoked. If you know the history in the last 15, 20 years, you know that, yeah, the West is pushing for Ukraine to join NATO. And the West, specifically President Bush, and James Baker, his Secretary of State, promised the Soviets or the Russians that after the fall of the Berlin Wall, after the Soviets withdrew from Eastern Europe, that the U.S. wouldn't expand an inch beyond Germany. But they have, and I think that's what it's all about. But that's a little bit of history. So I think it triggered massive buying from, well, I don't think, but it triggered massive buying from countries not allied with NATO. We've seen massive physical buying of gold by central banks, 2022, 23, 24. 2025, it's supposed to have gone down a bit, but I actually think the central banks are buying gold on the quiet. The Chinese actually announced yesterday or recently that they bought some gold for the 15th straight month, but a small amount. But I bet you they're buying a lot more through other channels. So Clive was able to make it. It was my fault, Clive, because I forgot to send you the link. And then I just remembered that I hadn't sent you the link.
Hello there, Rio.
Yeah, I'm sorry
Um,
about that, Clive. I wasn't
it's,
sure if you could have made it, and I forgot.
I just saw your link just now, so
That's
I came
fine.
in.
There's a super chat here, Clive, from Adam Menning. Thank you, Adam. He says, I saw a stream a while ago where you were talking about TRX Gold. I bought a few shares and made a decent bit of money recently. Yeah, I think I was talking to another Clive, Clive Mond, or it could
Mhm.
have been no, it could have been Peter Carlin. TRX Gold was the company that Jim Sinclair was involved in for many years in Tanzania. I used to have those shares, but I haven't got any. Um, and yeah, I think mining companies are going to do well. It's going to be a little bit like the dot-com bubble in the 90s. Whatever's got gold, silver, or mining on its name. I'm not saying you're not supposed. I'm not saying you shouldn't do your homework, your research, but I think they will pretty much do very well, especially if they're the more medium size and bigger companies. The junior explorations ones are more dangerous, don't you think, Clive?
I personally never buy the ones which are not making profits. I go for the profitable companies, and I think they'll all those which are digging up the gold and silver will show much higher profits in the coming quarters. And then the analysts will look at those higher profits and probably increase their forecasts as well.
Yeah, I think a Native American said here, Bill Holter. Yeah, I think he means Bill Holter loves TRX. Yeah, I think it was an interview I did with Bill Holter. I've only interviewed him once about a month ago, and he mentioned TRX. And yeah, that could be an interesting investment, TRX. And I think they have a really good property in Tanzania. It's called the Buck Reef property, if I'm not mistaken. Clive, the title today is Precious Metals Markets, paper precious metals market. Days are numbered as investors get physical. And before you came on, I was talking about how the non-NATO, non-Western central banks, they've been buying gold hand over fist since 2022. And I think they want physical, of course. They don't want paper. And also now, like investors, like wealthy investors, family offices, even hedge funds, they realize that that bubble can't, well, it will continue, but it will be at the expense of the value of the currency. And there, in my opinion, a lot of people are concerned about counterparty risk. They don't trust ETFs. They don't even trust allocated, let alone unallocated. They want the physical stored, maybe even in their own private vaults, uh, outside the banking system. And that's why I think this is almost like a run on the fiat money system. And even Ray Dalio thinks we are towards the end of it. So how do you see it?
I think that's a given. People are now starting to say it doesn't matter whether I'm paying a premium or VAT for the silver or the gold for that. Well, you're not paying much of a premium on gold. They're saying I've just got to have somewhere where I can reach it because I don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, next year. Um, and so people are putting it's a bit like having stocking up with toilet rolls when there's a pandemic because you don't know what's going to come, and people just say I've got to have something just in case.
Yeah, Clive, some people are asking, and I'll let you answer first, and then I'll add anything if they're asking what is paper, right? And yeah, so do you want to explain
Yeah.
what paper is?
So when we talk about paper, we talk about gold, which is not physically in your hands. In other words, you're relying on somebody else's promise. So in theory, you have a bit of paper which says we are holding gold on your behalf, or we're holding silver on your behalf. Now that might be a promise from a bank who's holding it, or it might be a promise from the exchange traded fund, or it might be a promise from some other institution who's got your gold. But there's no substitute for having some which you can actually touch, and you don't need to ask permission to get it back.
Yeah, and someone else is asking here, who thinks BSLV or SLVR is a good buy right now? I would never touch ETFs, be it PSLV, SLVR, or GLD. Um, I think, Clive, we spoke about this on Friday, and you made a really good video as well this weekend about how you think it could be crunch time in March for the COMEX. And I think the bankers are desperate, shuffling inventory around from different places to try to stop people from taking physical. And yeah, basically the paper precious metals market is kind of a recreation of the fiat currency uh, fractional reserve system, but it's done with gold. So that's why I think it's paramount that you have physical gold and silver. Yes, you shouldn't store it all at home because it's dangerous. You should have a private vault. There's a lot of private vaults in the US, here in the UK as well. I mean, I have an affiliation with Miles Franklin. They can store your gold and silver. There are many others in the US. If you want to find out more about Miles Franklin, there's a link below in the description. And here in the UK, I work with Gold Investments, a link below as well. And I think, Clive, you work with someone else here in the UK. Maybe you want to tell the viewers their name as well. I don't mind.
Sure. So I've just had an affiliate link with Gold Bullion Partners.
Yeah,
So anyone who wants to support me can go to my webpage, clivethompson.com, and click on that affiliate link, and you'll be supporting me in some way.
yeah.
So thank you
So
very
yeah,
much.
support Clive and support me. And yes, we're only affiliates. We're not paid by these people. We're paid only if you do business with them. Of course, we get a small commission. But Gold Investments as well, they have their own private vaults, and the cost is not really that. It's not really extortionate. It's worth it, and it's insured as well. And they'll take you to the vault so you can see your gold and silver as well. So
Mario, we should
yeah,
perhaps explain the difference between a bank vault and a private vault.
yeah.
You know, if you have your precious metals in a bank vault, you're beholden to the bank keeping its doors open. Now, if we have some sort of crisis or crunch or something goes wrong with the entire banking system, you might find you can't actually get in the front door for a while to get back your precious metals, whereas a private vault is likely to keep its doors open.
Yeah, no, and even a bank vault, I don't know if you probably heard of this, if probably 10 years now. People thought they were buying physical silver and storing it at Morgan Stanley New York's vaults. And then and because they were charging even storage fees, but uh, it turned out that they had no silver and they had to pay, I think, about $8 million in fines. So, aside from what you said, that in a crisis they might shut the bank, I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. Maybe in Switzerland is a little different, the banks in Switzerland, but I wouldn't trust them here in the UK, probably not in the US either.
Well, the distinction, there's two types of vault in a bank. One is the vault which you own the box. You have your own box, your own key, and you know what's in the box. And nobody can know what's in the box, not the bank, not anybody apart from yourself. That's one type of vault. But the other type of vault is where the bank or the institution has a collective storage facility, and then they will have little yellow post-it notes stuck onto each bar as to who it belongs to.
Yeah. Well, Rudy just came down from the sofa. He wants to say hi to everyone. I think someone
Uh,
asked me the other day, can you put Rudy on the camera? There you go.
he's
Good boy.
getting much bigger, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's three
Smaller when he
years
put
old
him.
now. Yeah. He's gonna have a groom tomorrow. He's a bit smells a bit. It's been raining so
Uh,
much, you go out and he gets wet.
mhm.
That wet dog smell. We got a super chat. Carlos M. Thank you for that. Mario, I own one third of each, miners, gold, and silver. Are there any better investments going forward? Streamers are also good, but I don't have any now. list of streamers, any streamer like GDX or GDXJ with many investments. Um, I mean, your proportion there is interesting. I think it's a good one. I think if the miners do what I think they will do, you'll do very well. My proportion isn't as big in the miners as you, but streamers, I guess, they're different from royalty, aren't they? The streamers, I think you actually get the gold. Clive, is that the difference?
I've not come
Yeah.
across that word.
Yeah.
I assumed he was talking about royalty companies, but
Yeah.
I don't know what a streamer is.
Yeah, I think a royalty, you get a percentage of the the profits that let's say you pay the company a certain amount, you lend them money, or you invest in them and you get 2% of all the gold they produce until the mines finish or for certain years. But streamer, I think you actually get the physical gold or silver. I mean, the biggest royalty is Franco-Nevada. And then you've got like people like Elemental. And there's also a new one that's coming up that I'm involved in is Chancery Royalty. It's still a private company, but yeah, we're starting out and we're going to have an IPO.
And
So
there's another one with the symbol GROY, Gold Royalty.
Oh yeah, Gold Royalty. Yeah, I know that one. I did a video on that years ago, Gold Royalty. And there are other ones as well. I think Wheats and Precious Metals is a royalty and streaming company. Yeah. So
I mean, I wouldn't mind finding a company which can pay me my dividends in gold bullion or gold coins, but I didn't know that existed, Mario.
no, I think what it does, the mining companies pay it to the streaming companies.
Oh,
I think,
okay.
yeah. And then they take the gold and then they just sell it for the profit. But the royalties they take cash, as profit and they pay dividends. We got a few super chats. Jolly Lollipop, thank you for your super chat. Is Iran wipe If Iran wipes Israel off the map, which I'm hoping for, that's you, not me. I'm reading your message. How will this affect the prices of precious metals? Um, well, that would be, I mean, we'd have World War III. I'm not sure how you can quantify that. I think, yeah, the world would be very chaotic if that were to happen. Clive?
Well, we're talking about major geopolitical events, and
Yeah.
any major geopolitical event has the risk of massively escalating because other participants are going to come in and join the event, potentially. And that does mean that it would, when you say, how does it affect the gold price? Well, of course, I think people will be running to get it, and you won't be able to get it at that
No,
point.
yeah, and I think oil will be at $300 or something. I don't know. But there at Perrins 57, thank you for your super chat. Says his wife found an 1832 half sovereign. Married, he says, married the right woman. Is that a rare one, Perrins? I mean, there are. I have a book about all about sovereigns and how rare each one is. Yeah, sometimes you find one and they're really rare, and you might get like double the normal price for a sovereign.
Well, if it's got a shield on the back, it's worth quite a lot of money.
Yeah, the shield backs. I have some shield backs, but not all of them, Clive. Some of them are more rare, are rarer,
Mhm.
excuse me. Edward Cullen, thank you for your super chat. Yeah, Metalla Royalty, that's another one. But I don't think that question, I don't think it's likely that Iran will wipe Israel off the map. I'm not sure about that. I mean, we've been hearing about Iran and like how they're gonna bomb Iran, attack Iran for decades almost now, Clive, and it never seems to happen. But yeah, hopefully nothing will happen. Hopefully the Middle East will become a peaceful place. I think that's the best thing for the world, don't you
I
think,
mean,
Clive?
well, that's all we can pray for. I don't know why the people in power want to be at each other's throats. Most of the population in most countries, all they want to do is go to work, bring home some money, feed
Yeah.
their kids, and watch TV. They don't want to go fighting the man on the other side of the river.
Yeah. Well, someone's saying here, Valentin Nitton, that First Majestic Silver, you can demand your dividend in silver. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I must get some of those shares if it's true.
Any good book, someone is asking. Well, actually, I've got a couple of books here that have really helped. And I think it was Doug Casey and Matthew Smith who talked about it. Uh, One is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And you can read this, you don't have to read the whole book. There's like passages and also Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. So I highly recommend these. Some more about philosophy of life, Clive. So I think that's a good thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The, the book, which I think is a bit of a classic for everybody, is The Extraordinary Popular Delusions by
But
Charles Mackay. It's a
yeah,
very old book written in the 1800s, I think. But it's got all kinds of stories in it from about speculations ranging from the burnings of manias, the burnings of witches, through to the alleged tulip mania bubble,
yeah,
and all the other craziness that was going on in the 1800s.
yeah. I've got that one as well. I've had it for even. I think I bought it, Clive, when I lived in Switzerland, and I still have it here. It's like very, very old. There was a good English bookstore right underneath my office, and they also rented video cassettes. At that time, there's no Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah. And Durarama, sorry, I didn't see your super chat. Now I see it. Thank you. Says, Hi, Mario Clive. What events do you see happening with the imminent silver inventory liquidation of COMEX in March? The delivery default payout force majeure. I'll let Clive answer first, and then I'll answer as well. I mean, I probably won't have to add anything.
So the fact is, we've got around 100 million ounces available on COMEX, which is registered silver. That's silver which is ready to be delivered into maturing contracts. The amount of silver spoken for, if it's all called for in the March contract, is close to 400 million ounces. In other words, four times what's available to be delivered. Now, the question is, will a lot of that be called for delivery, or will it all get rolled to the next major month, which is May? The One of the things which makes it look like it might be called is what happened in the February contract. And don't forget, we're only about 6 days into February now, or 10 days into February. The A month before, the literally all of the open contracts, 100%, have been called for delivery in the month of February, i.e., instead of the usual thing of maybe 5 or 10% being called for delivery, it actually went to 100%. So people are on COMEX changing their behavior, and instead of rolling over their contracts, they're asking for delivery. At least that has been the pattern in February and for the few months before that.
January
So
as well,
what
right, Clive? There was a lot, and
it
they're
it
not
looks like it.
and they're not front months, which means they're not heavily traded months.
But March is the big one. March is the
Yeah,
really,
and
really big one.
here's the open interest, Clive, 76,000. It went down actually the last by 4,400.
Yeah,
So
so
we have to,
it's slightly below 4 million ounces.
yeah,
Not 4 million. Is it 4 million or 400 million? Multiply that
well,
figure by
by
5,000.
5,000. It's 360 million, 300. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
5,000.
360 or 380
And I
billion.
think there's only about 100 million in the
Yeah,
registered
there was
inventory.
103 million as of 2 days ago
Yeah,
was available. In other words, there's nearly four times as much spoken for if those futures go to delivery. We've got about 19 or 20 days before the first delivery day of March. So that
yeah,
first delivery day comes on, I think, the 27th of February.
yeah, yeah.
So it'll get quite exciting to see what happens to that number of 76,000 contracts. Will it go right down to almost nothing? And if it does go to nothing, what's happening? Are people closing their positions or are they rolling them to May? Or if it doesn't go to nothing, then the big question becomes, are they going to demand delivery at the end of February, beginning of March?
I
And if they
suspect
do,
that 76,000 number might even increase again. And I think they're going to stand for a lot of delivery of that because they did the same thing for January and February, and they weren't like big trading months. But as for default, the COMEX will never, well, they will not never technically default because in their rule book, they say that they can cash settle. But I think if they were to do that, it would hurt their reputation massively. And yes, there could be force majeure. I mean, maybe if there is a breakout of hostilities in the Persian Gulf vis-a-vis Iran, that could be a reason for force majeure or some kind of event like 9/11. They shut the markets for a week, I think, back then, if I remember well. So yeah,
well, if the long end, the people who are the longs on those contracts demand delivery, it will literally squeeze the silver price higher and higher and higher until someone says that's enough, for my price, and they actually decide to sell into the market or deliver to the market to meet that demand. But we just don't know who is behind each side of the contract. We don't know who's shorted, and we can guess. But we don't know, and we don't know who's bought it. We can guess again. It might be the buyers, might be the people who've got no choice. They've got to have it, like the
yeah,
manufacturers.
yeah. Jeff Menard, 5955. Thank you for your super chat. Hi, Mary and Clive. I'm from Canada, and problem I have is triggering too much tax in registered funds by taking too much out at a time. Should I just take the tax hit and get my hands on the metals? Um, yeah. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're really concerned, I don't know how much the tax is in Canada, but yeah, I would do it. I mean, because having a bit of metal is better than having none, and especially if you have a crisis, your funds they could be frozen. Uh, that's the way I see it. What about you, Clive?
I'm wondering what sort of funds he's talking about. Do you think he's talking about ETFs, gold and silver funds, or do you think he's talking about equity funds here?
Or it could be retirement funds because they usually trigger.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe Jeff could elaborate on that. We've got another super chat from the Yarling to you. The Yar They are lying to you. Sorry about that. Uh, yeah, they are. That's for sure. From they are lying to you, Mario. Clive, do you have any opinion of tungsten and tin? Both seem on the move, breakouts to follow. Any suggestions? Well, I think they're part of this rare earths mineral, critical mineral war, and the West, especially the United States, has ignored it. And yeah, they're part of this move to hard assets, and they're going to become more and more important because globalization is finished, and the world's yeah, not as peaceful as it used to be. Clive?
Makes sense to be exposed to the commodities sector in general, but I wouldn't advise buying any exchange traded funds or exchange traded certificates which hold tin or nickel or lead or zinc or even copper for that matter,
Yeah,
because they all suffer from the way they work is to buy the 3 month, typically they buy the 3 month future.
yeah,
And when it gets to the 1 month, they roll back into the 3 month and keep doing this. But because these futures tend to trade in contango, basically mean the future price is higher than the spot price, it means they're constantly buying at a higher price than they're selling.
yeah,
So you have a negative push or negative drag on the price. So the way I would do it is to buy the stocks of broadly diversified miners.
yeah,
There's half a dozen very, very large global mining companies quoted in London,
yeah.
Australia, and United States, and I'd go for those.
Yeah, I mean, I know a company that is exploring tin in, I think it's in Bolivia. It's called El Oro Resources. You might want to check that out. ELORO Resources. And yeah, they think they have a huge deposit of tin and silver as well in Bolivia. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. In the short term, gold and mainly silver are overbought. At what level would they be considered overvalued? Thanks. I mean, I'll answer first. I actually, I don't actually think they are overbought anymore in the short term. Overvalued, I guess, is when they run away like they did recently. But yeah, if you look at the long-term charts, monthly and even quarterly charts, I think we're going to continue higher. And back in 2017, I think 2018, when the Venezuelan currency collapsed, gold, I think it was another YouTuber, I forgot his name now. He's been on the channel, and we spoke about this. He had the price of gold in bolivars, Venezuelan bolivars, and you could trade it, but at one point it just went parabolic, and the currency collapsed. So I think that's where we are. You, and yeah, you might want a short-term trade for fiat profits, but I think it's really dangerous. What do you think, Clive? Are we
Well,
overbought short-term? And
on the question of overbought, whenever you see a commodity or a precious metal at a close to an all-time high, people automatically say it's overbought. But I can just give you a small example. Back in October, I went to the Zurich Coin Fair. They hold it once a year on a Sunday in October. And there were gold and silver were, to all intents and purposes, at record prices at that time. And there were a lot of people the sellers, who are willing to sell gold coins at the spot price, zero premium, because they were just only too happy to get rid of them at the highest price ever. And in their view, gold was, I'm talking about gold really, because that was the main thing we were focusing on then. In their view, gold was overpriced. They thought it was overvalued. That's why they're willing to sell it literally at spot price. So I literally filled my boots, and thank God I did, because look where we are now.
yeah, I think gold will always be overbought and silver, especially in this end of fiat currency world that we live in. I played golf today, Clive, and one of the guys I played with, he said, "Oh yeah, gold has come down." I said, "Well, it's come down, but it's still up on the year." And I think I remember telling him about it 2, 3 years ago. He said, "Yeah, I should have bought if I had bought when you told me." And now I guess he probably thinks it's too expensive and he will never buy it. I got a super chat from Jolly Lollipop. Thank you. He said, I read the book Our Crowd, which you recommended. It was not anti-Jewish, but rather it gave a fair shake of the Chosenites, in my honest opinion. Actually, the guy who recommended that book to me and the community that he used to run, it was Jim Sinclair, whose family is really featured a lot in that book, the Seligmans. No, it's a good book. It's Our Crowd is and the subtitle is The Great Jewish Families of New York. And it just goes to show how they're like a club, and they all know each other and they all do business together. And I think the reason he told us to read that book is because it's a reflection of what Wall Street is even today. And it's also a reflection of the power of the Federal Reserve. So yeah, it's a good book to if you want to know about money and power. I recommend it. The author is Stephen Birmingham. We got a lot of super chats, Clive.
Yeah,
Uh,
I see them
Leo
coming in thick
Gold,
and fast.
Leo Gold, thank you. Clive, is Goblin Gold Miners a risky investment? I've never heard of that, Goblin.
Someone is making a little bit of a joke about a video I put up just before your show, Mario.
Yeah.
Um, I put up a little video with, it's designed for parents to sit with their children and teach the children words, but there's goblins in the video. And there's a little boy and his friend, uh, older friend, who's teaching him all about financial terms. So they're learning words like to say, what's save mean, what's borrow, what's lending, what's
Oh, I
debt,
see.
what's interest. So the goblins are the lazy ones who basically don't do any work and don't repay the bank, which is why the little boy in the story can't get his money out of the bank when he wants to buy a
Yeah.
house.
Someone's saying here, I was in New York City and tried to buy. No one is selling below 93. I assume that's silver. Yeah. Mike Packham, Bullion by Post, Atkinson's charts all out of stock for silver in the UK, barring a few coins. Yeah, Gold Investments is not out of stock, so you can check with Gold Investments. And yeah, there's a link below in the description, and you can use my promo code and get a little bit of a discount. Is your guy selling? Is he got silver, Clive?
I can tell you in Geneva, one large bullion dealer is completely out of silver. Haven't been able to get it for weeks. Gold Bullion Partners, they did have a few weeks ago, but I don't know today.
Yeah, let me have a look here on Gold Investments website. I think they do have it. Let's see, silver. Let's see, buy silver coins. Yeah, they do have it. Oh, actually, they haven't got Britannia's because it says pre-order. Whenever they say pre-order, it means that they don't have it. You're gonna have to wait. So they've got Maple Leaves. They've got the Silver Eagles. But yeah, they don't have Britannia's, which for the UK is a problem because they are the capital gains tax free. So yeah, there seems to be a shortage of silver. And I think, Clive, th this is coming. It's not retail that is maybe retail is helping the shortage, but I think it's more the big money. They want physical silver, uh, and I think central banks now that's the new thing. Central banks want silver. And do you remember last year they talked about India allowing people to use silver as collateral for loans? I think that starts in April. I think there's a lot of demand for physical silver in India too.
Yeah, I'm not really up to speed with that. I see you've got another couple of these super chats are coming in thick and fast,
Oh,
Mario.
hold on. I didn't see it. Hold on. Is that Bobby? Yeah. Baby Face. Thank you. When a stock is available on several exchanges, what's the method for picking one? What are the worst risks for UK investors buying abroad? Well, I would pick the exchange where there's the most volume and liquidity, and UK investors buying abroad. I don't think there's a real risk. I guess there's foreign exchange risk, but yeah. So, Clive.
So first of all, I generally find the most volume is on the home market. So if you can access the home market, then I would go to that exchange first and foremost. But what you should always do, if you have any doubt, is to check what the volume is, the average daily traded volume. You can see that, for example, on TradingView. If you've got TradingView, I'm sure lots of other websites have got that information as well. Look at the average daily trading volume, and assuming you've got the right sort of web application, and TradingView does it as well. I expect Yahoo Finance does. Check what the bid and ask is, and you want to make sure the bid and ask are very close together. You want to make sure there's a lot of volume relative to what you want to trade. And if there's not a lot of volume and you're perhaps having to be forced to trade on a market which is not the main market because maybe your broker doesn't deal with that market, then in that situation, if there's not enough volume, always place your limit in between the bid and ask price and sit there and be prepared to wait until it gets hit. You can always adjust your limit if the bid ask moves against you. You can always change your limit later on, but where you've got a wide spread, there's no point in just say buy at market because you might pay 0.5% more than you need to.
Yeah, or selling at, hitting the bid as well when it's wide.
And on the risks, Mario, he asked what the risk of buying on the foreign market is. I don't see, and you mentioned foreign exchange risk, but I don't really see any risk in that respect because the price will, at the moment, in a world with no exchange controls, will always be the same in the foreign market as the local market. So if the dollar goes down, the price in dollars is going to go up, even if the sterling price stays still.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Carlos, thank you for your super chat. Local taxes USA, January 1st, 2026. Washington state removed tax exemption on precious metals bullion, making sales of gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium subject to 10% retail tax. Well, that's not a good move because I thought the trend for U.S. states was to remove taxes on precious metals. So I think Washington State is that like a blue state. I would think. Uh,
Not good at all for the investors in precious metals. I mean, it's going
no.
to all it means is people will go to another state if they want to buy
Yeah,
precious metals. They
or
won't buy it
or
there.
or you could buy it from, let's say, Miles Franklin and have it stored in, I think they store it in Idaho and keep it there. I don't think you'll be charged any tax. You might want to contact someone, I've seen that a lot of people drive to, I think it's New Hampshire or Vermont, where what's it called? Yankee Stacker. He films from there, from that shop. And there's loads of people driving from all over the US to buy gold and silver there because there's no sales tax. So you can do that as well. But driving from Washington State to I think it's New Hampshire is a long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matlas, thank you for your super chat. Do either of you think Western leaders are victims of the broken window fallacy? They are destroying countries and their infrastructure, then expect to profit back and rebuild it. Look at Ukraine, soon Iran. Well, I'll answer that first. The Western leaders are not victims. It's the people in the West and in Ukraine that are victims to it. This has been happening for the last 250 years. War is a really profitable enterprise, and I'm not saying that because I like war, but for them it is. For the bankers, they finance both sides, and they get paid always, and then they finance the rebuilding of the destroyed countries. Yeah, that is a kind of a broken window fallacy. The Keynesians, yeah, the broken window fallacy, Clive, is like people say, oh, if a building goes up,
Hurricanes are good or wars are
yeah,
good because
because then we can rebuild, right? That's
yeah.
it is a fallacy, and this is more than just a broken window fallacy. This is the what what's his name? Smedley Butler said that war is a racket. It's more than just that. It's a racket.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that when we have a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, it creates lots of jobs as people rebuild. But the fallacy is you'd have done better off without having the disaster in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Babyface, thank you again. Super chat. When the stock is available on several exchanges. Uh, oh no, we already answered that, didn't we?
Yep.
There's no more so far.
There's one I see.
Yeah.
It says Mr.
Oh yeah.
ID9CU.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Mr. ID. You want to read it, Clive?
It says, hello. If silver is designated a strategic metal, how real is the risk of price controls, i.e., a floor, royalties to the state, or expropriation for US silver miners? So
It is.
I suppose,
It's already designated, actually. By the way,
yeah.
Mr. ID. It's not if, but
So I suppose what he's suggesting is that he's wondering if somehow the government is going to dictate what the price is.
well, I think JD Vance made a statement last week saying that they're going to put price floors on strategic minerals, and I think that includes silver. And he said we don't want foreigners to be undercutting the prices of these minerals. But I laughed when he said that because the people who undercut them are the bullion banks that are mainly US based and UK based. They're the ones who keep these prices down. As for expropriation, I think what the US is doing, I don't think the Trump administration is looking to nationalize or anything. They're just trying to help finance these private companies. I think in this instance, they're enlightened enough to realize that you need to let private businesses run things. Govern and I actually don't agree with governments financing it, but I guess when your major rival, economic rival, China does it, so if you don't do it, you're gonna fall behind, right, Clive? So,
Yeah, I mean, so if you took silver and they put a price floor on silver, perhaps be saying no, but no American silver miner may sell their silver below $120 or whatever price they decide should be the floor. And basically, they'd be doing that to stop the silver from leaving the United States. But they could do that to any mineral. It could be oil, it could be copper, lead, tin, zinc, and of course, they could do it to gold as well.
yeah, well, what they could do, the Treasury is or the Fed, they could work together and say, we will make sure that the price of silver doesn't fall below 100. They could do like a kind of a yield curve control, but precious metals or raw minerals price control. And with gold, that would be the revaluation, right? They could revalue the statutory price from $42.22, which was the last time revalued in 1973. They could revalue it to 5,000, and that would put a floor on gold at 5,000, and gold would fly. And yeah, and so would all the other minerals.
I mean, it would be a way for the government to slow down the sale of US Treasury bonds by foreign governments, because if they put the price of gold, they put a floor under the price of gold at, let's say, 5 or 10,000 or 15,000, whatever they decide, it means that when foreign governments decide to divest of US Treasury bonds to buy gold, which is something which we can see is happening already to a small extent, they're going to get a lot less gold for their Treasury bond, therefore reducing the incentive to do it.
Yeah, so they'll just stay in treasuries. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I really think the USA has literally no choice but to revalue gold to and probably a higher figure than the current level, much higher.
yeah, yeah. Um, Carlos, thank you again. Silver Canadian maples, 999 pure silver yeah, 4 nines pure, 99.99 pure. USA 99.9, Austin Philharmonics 99.9. Thank you. Uh, Hawk Juan, thank you for your super chat. How are the prices of gold and silver determined now if COMEX and LBMA are empty? Well, I think more and more it's being determined in the Far East, in Shanghai and other places like Singapore, or by the like precious metals, people who actually deal in real physical gold and silver. But I would say more in China, Singapore, yeah, and places like that. Clive, any opinion on that?
Well, first of all, how is the price going to be determined on COMEX? Well, if the silver levels run down, as looks likely, the price will be squeezed higher and higher and higher until those silver levels stop falling below zero. That's what would happen in theory, unless, of course, COMEX decides to the CME decides to intervene and call a trading halt and talk about cash
Yeah.
settlement. But let's assume that force majeure does not happen. Then you get if you've got all 400 million ounces demanding delivery when there's only 100 million ounces out there, that price of silver is going to go higher and higher very, very rapidly until the supply meets the demand, and that would be at a much higher price. But the other thing, which I think just while we're on the subject of COMEX and so forth, we've got to watch out for, and I think this would be the biggest warning sign of all if it happens, if you see a suspension of creation of ETFs. So at the moment, when you buy an ETF, behind the scenes, the ETF provider is creating new units and buying physical silver,
Yeah.
especially PSLV. They're taking the silver off the exchange and put it in private vaults, and the silver is physically there. However, if they can't lay their hands on that physical silver, they will have to suspend the creation of new units, which means quite possibly trading would be halted on the exchanges, because it will, the exchange traded fund, if they can't create units, it won't be reflecting the net asset value anymore.
Yeah, I saw a post by Just Dario on X, and he noted that when silver was going, like from 60 to like 120, there was massive buying of SLV, and they're taking delivery of the silver, like people like the bullion banks. So the amount of shares in the SLV actually went down as the price went up. But now he said that with silver having corrected, the amount of SLV shares is is gone right back up. So it's going to be a lot harder for the bullion banks to buy the SLV and demand the physical because they have to return that physical. They lease it, they lease it from the SLV. So I agree with you. If SLV stops trading, that means there's no silver out there, and it seems like a game of physical musical chairs, Clive. The bullion banks, they lease silver from the ETFs to deliver in the futures, and then they have to find it again. And one day, though, that's going to explode, I think, and it could be in March.
I mean, there is one silver trust in China where they have already suspended creation of new units. And the reason was that the demand for units in that fund exceeded what they could lay their hands on in physical silver. So they basically suspended creation. They said at one point on the secondary market, the units were trading at double the net asset value, and they had to suspend it. They not only they suspended the fund from trading, they also suspended the creation of new units because they couldn't create the units, which would have caused the net asset value to come back in line with the share price. But obviously, the share price had reached a massive premium, like I think it was 100% or something. They said at one point
Yeah.
above what the net asset value was, and that made no sense.
Anxious Beach Bums, thank you for the super chat. We've got some more coming up here. Let's see. Apple Pie, thank you for your super chat. Are UK banks protected by capital reserves under Basel III? Just worried by bank buy-ins, bail-ins, you mean? USA is not covered by Basel III at all. Uh, Basel III doesn't cover anything. the UK banks, I think they increased the amount that they will guarantee if a bank goes under from, I think recently from 80,000 to, I don't know, 100,000 now. But bail-ins are possible. And I don't think, Basel III, they're not like, the rules are not like etched in stone, Clive. It's more like
The guidelines.
sorry, guidelines. Yeah. Uh,
Mary, I think perhaps for the benefit of your newer viewers, perhaps you could explain what a bail-in is.
Bail-in, yeah. Well, bail-in, I mean, it happened in Cyprus, I think, in 2013. So what happens there is the the Cypriot banks collapsed, and they are supposed to have well, they had 100,000 insurance, so anyone who had less than 100,000, they got paid. But the people that had over 100,000 in the bank, and that included like companies as well, companies that they big companies, they leave a big amount of cash in the bank. Their cash was basically taken from them so that the bank wouldn't fail. And the bank basically gave them shares in the bank in exchange for that cash, right? So instead of getting the taxpayer to bail out the banks, they get the depositors to bail out the banks. That's why it's called a bailed in, right? Is that
Yeah,
right,
and of
Clive?
course, well, exactly. At the time, there were many people in Cyprus who were saying they'd been down to the cash point to try and draw out physical euros because
Mm,
they were worried the banks were going bust, and they found that they either couldn't get any at all or they were limited to 50 euros or something minuscule.
yeah. Yeah, so they will, unfortunately, pardon my French, screw you. So yeah, I was surprised by this, Clive, because they changed as of December last year, December 1st, the amount that they protect deposits to 120,000, and it was at 80.
Okay.
So they increased about like 50%. And to me, that that smells of worry, doesn't it?
I don't know why they've done that.
Yeah, but I mean that's good for if you have a lot in the bank.
Perhaps
If you have a joint account with your spouse, you're actually protected up to 240,000.
On bail-ins, Mario, wasn't there something similar happened in, I don't know if it's Brazil or Argentina, where they basically said if you have a large balance, you're going to now lend it to the government at a low interest rate. And then by the
Yeah,
time you've got it back a few years later, it wasn't worth much.
I think it was in Argentina, and they also it was called a corralito, and I think it was when you could have the peso and the dollar were running like at par, and they actually took people's dollars and because the peso peg collapsed, so you lost your dollars, but you ha could have pesos that were worthless. Yeah,
I remember, I think it was Argentina. They came to Switzerland to present their latest version of Argentinian bonds. And I can't even remember what year this was. It would have been the 1980s. And I went to the presentation and I listened to the finance minister saying very plausibly that it's now 1 to 1 and every peso is backed by a dollar and it will never be any different.
yeah, right.
And the peg will never break. It'll
Yeah,
never
right.
happen. I think the words were, it'll never happen again.
It happened
And
in sorry, go ahead.
a
Yeah.
lot of people believed it, and unfortunately for them, ended up earning peso bonds, which or dollar bonds as well, which because it didn't matter whether you bought peso or dollars, you lost your money.
There was a peg as well between the Lebanese pound and the dollar for like 20 years, and a few years ago it collapsed. And I even interviewed someone from Beirut about that. And yeah, never trust these governments when they say things like that. Anxious Beach Bum, thank you for your super chat again. Would either of you care to speculate how the Western precious metals markets will react to the Chinese metal markets' upcoming 7-day New Year holiday? Yeah, I'll answer that first, Clive. Last year, actually, gold and silver went up a lot, but generally, in the past, when they have this 7 day holiday, COMEX and LBMA, yeah, they can do whatever they want. But I'm not too sure because what's going to happen this time because it could backfire on COMEX and LBMA because I've heard that a lot of people that usually use the Western markets to buy gold and silver, they're going to China to buy over there. So if China's closed, they could demand uh, physical delivery from COMEX and LBMA. So it could backfire, I think, Clive.
Yeah, I mean the Chinese New Year. I'm not sure of the dates, but I think it starts, if I'm not mistaken, next week, and I guess it lasts for about a week. So the Shanghai Gold and Silver Exchange will be closed during that week. So those people who've been enjoying, myself included, watching the difference between the COMEX price and the Shanghai price will have nothing to compare for a whole week.
Yeah, so let's see, what are Chinese New Year dates? Uh, Jan February 17th, but I don't know how many days it will be. Yeah, markets.
Might
Let's
be 2 weeks.
markets. No, I think it's oh yeah, Chinese New Year. We'll see major closures in China from February 16th to February 23rd. So there you go.
So that's 1 week,
Yeah, Hong
effectively.
Kong will close from February 17th to February 19th. So there you go. It's more China that closes for a long time. We got
So that's a week when everybody in China who are in the eastern cities like Guangzhou and Shenzhen make their way back home to the inner cities where their mum and dad are and typically looking after the kids.
I see. Kisara, thank you for your super chat. I thank Clive for being able to objectively look at both sides of the benefit drawbacks of owning gold and silver and offer his opinion. There you go, Clive.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Clive, I think I have to
Quasara
back
Sara.
not Kisara, yeah. What
Kesara Kesara, yeah.
yeah. Uh I need if I when I come to Switzerland, I need to take you out for lunch, Clive.
Oh,
All these super chats.
wow. Mario, I'll be starving myself for a week, so watch out.
Uh, they are all lying or they're lying. Thank you, Clive. Thank you. You've just answered my next question. You guys are awesome. Mind readers.
Wow.
Corsi, Corso Boy, thank you. Can you please explain the difference between what economists call government bonds, gilts, etc., UK income bonds, premium bonds, and national savings? Um, Yeah, I mean, I'll go first, Clive. Government bonds are basically debt issued by governments. Gilts are government bonds. The U.S. Treasuries are government bonds. UK income bonds, I'm not too sure. Maybe Clive knows better. Premium bonds are just like they're backed by the government, but it's more for smaller investors, and national insurance is the same. Do you know what the income bonds are, Clive?
I believe that might be only for elderly people, where they pay you a slightly higher rate of interest every month on your savings.
I see. Uh, there's someone here, Corey's.
Oh, but just a point about them. Mary, they're fixed for a certain period, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm not sure the period, but
Oh yeah,
uh, every every year or two they have a new issue of income bonds, and each income bond which is issued has a certain interest rate and a certain maturity out, 3 or 4 years out, and you can't, in theory, get your money back except with penalties.
there's someone here from Chancery Royalty, Corey's Polar 1982. Monaco can't wait to see you operating with us at Chancery Royalty. It's going to be huge. Well, I hope so. I'm looking forward to be. I mean, I never. If someone had told me, "Oh, you're going to be working or be on the board of this company in 2026," I wouldn't have expected it. And yeah, Clive, next Friday. Uh, this Friday, I'm flying to Ethiopia to visit a gold mine there. That should be interesting.
So is this the board of the company on which you are now
Yeah, yeah,
sitting?
yeah, yeah,
Good, Mary. Well, I hope you're going to shake up the directors and tell them to dig up the gold a bit faster.
yeah. They're probably listening to you because the CEO is he follows the channel, Jeremy. Anyway, Clive, do you have you got time for more, or we're what?
I'm happy to hang on in there, Mario.
Yeah, we'll go a little longer. Uh, any more questions? Let's say you don't have to do more super chats, just ask the questions. Uh, Not me 997. The debt clock for UK and USA is way over. There's no chance they can get back under control. It's not just the UK and the US, it's the whole world, Clive. I think
Yeah.
all of the debt of the world is over 300 trillion and world GD, total GDP is 100 trillion.
I mean, the important thing about debts, when you see these levels of debt, which they talk about the USA being at 100 or 120% or 130%, whatever it is now, they don't usually include the hidden liabilities such as social security obligations, pension obligations, and all these sorts of things. And the problem with many countries, their pension obligations, for example, to government employees,
Yeah, they're
are
huge, aren't
typically
they?
they're funded by the
Mm.
present employees. But the real problem you've got with that is with the aging population of people living longer, and of course with the so you get to a point where you don't have enough contributors to support the pensioners, and
And,
that means the government's got to print the money to pay the
and
difference.
And Clive, you said that it's the let's say in the public sector, it's the current public sector workers that finance the retirees, but who finances the public sector workers is the is the UK taxpayer from the private sector. So that's even worse. So here you go. UK public sector pension liability, 5.8 trillion. The national debt is like just over 3 trillion. This is huge. The same thing goes for the US, I think.
And this is all going to fund social services, pensions,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah. John Phelan, 4215. Thank you again for your super chat. If PSLV can't get physical silver and use more share and issue more shares, why do the existing shares need to suspend trading? Stocks aren't issuing new shares all the time, but still trade on the secondary market. Well, because usually stocks are they don't need the physical commodity. I mean,
I think I get the question here. What he's saying is he's talking about PSLV, which, unlike some of the other physical silver or holders, they actually take the physical silver and put it in a private vault. They withdraw it. So what he's saying is, why would they need to suspend trading if they can't actually? They might suspend creation. In other words, you cannot buy new units, but he's saying, would they have to suspend trading? Well, if they didn't suspend trading, it means the share price would trade well above the net asset value. Now, I don't know what the rules are regarding exchange traded funds, but the whole idea of an exchange traded fund is you've got this ongoing creation and redemption on a daily basis to ensure that the price of the ETF is always equal to the underlying NAV. And there's sometimes very small differences of 1/4% or 0.5%. But what could happen in extremis, you might find the difference between the NAV and the trading price goes to 10, 20, 50, 100%. The
yeah.
question is, at what point do you need to step in as an authority, or do you perceive that you need to step in to protect the investors from buying something at double what it's really worth?
Yeah, yeah. And PSLV, I've heard as well that a lot of the uh, the bullion banks, I think it was last year, they borrowed it and went short to keep the price from going down and to keep people from buying it so that because when you buy PSLV, the trust has to buy physical silver. So what the bullion banks are doing, they're borrowing the shares of PSLV to short it, so to discourage people. I mean, they'll do anything, the bullion banks, but I think that's not going to continue. Clive, there's an interesting question here for you from Matless X. Thank you for your super chat. Clive, just turned 53 a few weeks ago. Am I too old to have my first child? Do I need to have any children in the next decade with all of this uncertainty? Well, Clive, I think you had an, your youngest son older. You were older than 53.
I had my youngest one at the age of 60, and I can tell you that was a very memorable day.
There you go. I'm
So
61. I don't think.
I recommend
Yeah.
that you have as many children as you can possibly afford.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. My wife, though, she's almost 60, so we can't really, maybe if we can adopt. Uh,
If you can't have a child, at least get a dog.
Yeah, I've got Rudy. Kobe Teeth, thank you for your super chat. Thoughts on if oil will track gold and silver in this macro silver gold bull run? I think oil looks like it wants to take off. It's trading around 64, I think, WTI. And I think, yeah, it's going to be part of it's really fallen behind gold and silver, and I think it will catch up.
I mean, oil is something which is deep down. I mean, when it's in the ground, it's a store of value. But once you get it out of the ground, the price is going to just trade at whatever the world price is. And that depends on so many factors. You know, if you have a crisis, for example, if the Gulf of Hormuz is closed, oil is going to trade at a very, very high price. On the other hand, if Saudi Arabia decides to increase its production, it's going to trade at a low price. So it's one of those things where you can't say too much. You know, you might have an economic boom and the demand for oil increases, but that might be met by increased production, or you might have some sort of recession and the oil price should be falling, but let's say some of the Gulf states decide to cut back on production, they can keep the oil price high. So it's one of those things which is not necessarily directly linked to the factors which are driving the gold price, which are really the fear that the economic world is going to be very, very different due to the levels of government debt which can't be repaid.
Yeah, no, I
It's not,
agree because I
you
think
know,
gold.
a shipload of oil won't be there on the
Yeah,
day they default.
yeah, I think gold and silver are becoming more and more of a monetary indicator than just economic strength or indicator like oil usually is. Uh, Osama Osama Samosa, thank you for your super chat. Thoughts on the future for Bitcoin, guys? Uh, I don't know. I don't think it's very bright, personally, for the future for Bitcoin, but that's my opinion.
You know, I don't really feel like expressing a view on the price of Bitcoin, but I think that a very small amount as an asset allocation, and when I say very small, I mean very, very small, can be a wise decision because 10 years from now, you might look at your portfolio and say, thank God I got it. Or you might look at your portfolio and it won't be there and it won't matter anyway.
That's right. No, I mean, I used to cover Bitcoin years ago, and that's what I would tell people. And I would tell them now as well. If you want to get involved, make sure you don't risk money that will make you not sleep soundly at night because we've just seen that it's gone from 126,000 last year to now 60,000 was the low this past week. It's now at 70. So it's very volatile. And I know gold and silver have been volatile of late, but on the whole, if you look at the long-term charts of gold and silver, over the last 25 years, it's been pretty much, you know, aside from like the bear market that we had where it kind of flatlined, it's been pretty steady upwards. Um, Clive, yeah, should we call it a day now? I think,
Sure.
yeah, thank you for coming on, Clive. And someone just asked Meyer, do I need Google Wallet for a super chat? I think you need to be logged into your YouTube channel, and you have to have your debit card or credit card linked to it, isn't it, Clive? I think that's what.
I don't know how to do that, Mario.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Let's see how many did we have. I think at one point we had over 3,000. Well, we got 3,500 right now, which is a lot. Uh, my wife jokes, she says now, "Oh, you get more people watching you than people are watching the BBC."
Yeah. Wait, my question, Mario, is who still owns a television?
I know,
You
I
know,
know. Well, I mean, the elderly, I think they still do. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. I mean, this channel wouldn't be anything without you, and thank you, Clive, as well. And
Can I just do a
yeah,
quick plug for my video
yeah,
that went out
yeah.
today? So, for anybody who has children, the video is definitely designed for parents to sit with their children and watch this cartoon-like story about how this little boy loses all his money in the global financial crisis because he put it all in the bank.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's not a good place. Okay, Clive, thank you, and everyone have a great start to the week, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.